try to explore more about like encoding and decoding. So as per our discussion, so we discussed about like encryption and decryption process. So the encoding and decoding, what is the drawback? Like you are use without any key you are using just by convert the data. So it means like we have like a predefined set of algorithms. Those algorithms are allowing us to like convert the data to one part to the another, but without any. So in that case, what happens? Whoever figure out that algorithm by that encoding technique by, they can easily get decode. So it's not like really good for the privacy because if you want to protect your data, you need to like follow the better approach. So that's why we don't use the encoding and decoding, okay, for the data security. But we use the encoding decoding for the data security purpose. Okay. So now like you just like you can just use the encoding decoding for the temporary data encapsulation purpose, data hiding purpose. Fine. So we are going to be using like a key based approach for better security. So especially while we are trying to choose like encryption and decryption. So we have encryption concept and decryption concept. Encryption decryption process where you are trying to define because part of the our data privacy and security. So we have like a two kind of scenarios: data at rest, data in cache. So this is the thing we have to consider. When data at rest, it means you have information. That information is like in the rest mode. It's stored in your computer, stored in your database, website, like wherever you have a data. That data is securely stored in your computer or securely stored in your device. That is the question. So if you want to achieve the confidentiality, integrity, availability, kind of, if you want like okay, the CAA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability things, so you need to like maintain the problem. So for the purpose, like, we are considering two scenarios related to the data. One is data at rest, another one is data in cache. Data at rest means data in like a stored file. So data at rest, nothing like a data storage. So we are trying to consider the like a secure data storage mechanism. Secure data storage. So we have to follow the secure data storage mechanism. So you have to protect your information when it is stored. Okay, you have to protect the information when it is transferring to the one place to the another place. So data in transit is nothing but data in transfer. You are sending it. For example, you open your browser, you enter your username, password in your browser related to the Facebook.com. Now you are sending the Facebook credentials from your browser to the Facebook server. In between source to the destination. Anyone can capture. We already discussed about man-in-the-middle attacker. If you send in a plain text, HTTP, man-in-the-middle attacker equals looking at the hacker extract the sensitive information. So we are trying to like so prevent that with the help of the secure data transfer. So you have to consider it as data at rest, data transit, or protection. So for that purpose, we are using encryption and decryption. So we are adapting the like so cryptography process for this. So the encryption, what happening like so it is converting your data. You have like a plain text information. It means human readable information. Plain text information. Okay, plain text okay. Message to the you are converting plain text to ciphertext. Ciphertext means like it is already converted. Cipher is algorithm. Cipher means algorithm. Your data conversion is processed by that algorithm. But that algorithm is using extra key. So it is using extra key. So part of the like so encryption what happening like so you have like a plain text. So your plain text is passing through the like algorithm. Okay. Plus then it is generated side effects. If anyone want to like so decode that, what they need to do? So they need to like so reverse process. So we have like a reverse process with the like a decode. Okay, so whenever you want to decode that, you have to run the reverse. Means like so you have like a cipher test now. You have a cipher test. So cipher test. So again like a human readable format test you want to take. So for this purpose, like I say, you are trying to use the cipher test as an input. So plain test as an output. Reverse process. But again, you need a key. Whatever, just like it's a simple. You have a room, you are trying to lock with a key. Whoever won that key, they are the owner of that house. Who knows that key? They can unlock the door and take it. Right? So that kind of mechanism. So we need to have use the like a playlist with the algorithm with the keys, so proper key size. Okay, so then we convert into the set. So encryption and decryption process follows. But we have a drawback in this process. What type of method you are using? So what is the symmetric cryptography or asymmetric cryptography? Have a look at that. Symmetric and asymmetric. So now if you consider the symmetric, so in the symmetric cryptography called as a secret key cryptography. It's a conventional method. So in a part of the cryptography, so what is a cryptography? Cryptography is a science. So science and mathematical operations, which can help you hide your sensitive information. That means- So just like it's art of science, which will allow us to convert our plain text data into the secure format, into the secure format. Cipher format. So symmetric cryptography or security cryptography is going to use a single key for encryption and decryption. Single key for encryption and decryption. Now you are using only one example. You have a like house, you have a door, you lock your door with a key. You are using single key for like a lock and unlock. You are using single key for lock and unlock. That kind of process. The same key for encryption, same key for decryption. Now you are using same key. Okay, for example, like let's assume like we have like a Caesar switch to cipher algorithm. Caesar, Julius Caesar is a scientist. He proposed like a simple like a shift algorithm. He is proposed. Caesar, okay, shift algorithm. So he is going to be like a like he's just like a recommend why can't you like injection mechanics for the agreed number like that is not. So now if you look into it, like, for example, we have like A, B, C, D, E here. Like you have like some kind of like alphabets you are writing. Now you are assuming. Now so I want to like so use the message back. I want to send the bad as a message to the. Now if I follow these algorithm proposed by Julius Caesar. Caesar script algorithm. What is it? Agree for the one. Now I am using a plus 3 as a 9. It means I'm trying to do a substitution with a key. So now I have like a letter B. What is my message? Now B in this alphabet, then B. Now plus 3 and plus 3. Means in the place of B, how to use the E. That is a substitution proposed by. Now in the place of like so A, what you will get? In the place of A, you will get B. So in the place of B, you will get B. Now this is the sentence. This one has a meaning, but this one don't have a meaning. Meaningless. Some random stuff. So it's not a plain text. This one has been clearly breakfast you can read, but you can't break. Now, whenever you want like reverse that, you are using same key. Now, if you observe that, like whenever we are locking the door, clockwise, anti-clockwise operation. One side lock, another side same way. Now, clockwise, anti-clockwise, plus and minus. Now, plus you use. Now, you are using minus. Minus. Take a step plus. Now, you are using like a so in the place of E, minus 3. So, E we have 1, 2, same. Now, D you have, G you have. This is a, like a C, like our Julius Caesar shift. Okay, I got it. So, this is a, like a just like I explained that how cryptography works. So if you look into the Julius Caesar, this is a very simple. So this is a substitution level. Now so shift to a fixed number determines how many questions each letter means. Now for example, if I use a 3, I use a 3 and I say A means A means. We can just like alphabetical order. So now hello messages are people like H plus E plus N plus question. So like this, we have a lot of algorithm, lot of researchers they propose different kind of. But so which algorithm is really great? Okay, so now you are using secret key. Now just understand, we have a like advantage or disadvantage in this particular algorithm. So this particular process, we have a one key which can encrypt and if that key is exposed, if that key is exposed, now entire like a system is failed up, right? So that's why we don't use this one for the data transfer. Please try to understand. We have a two scenarios. Data at rest, data in transit. Data at rest, stored. Now, I'm the person, I'm the only person living that room. I can lock on it. That key is always secret for me. That key is only with me. It is a secret forever to others. Okay. Now no one can enter into that. Now whatever I keep in that is accessible to me only. So in that context, this single key, secret key cryptography is a secret. అంటే ఆ రూమ్ నువ్వు ఒకరిగా వాడతావని నీ చేతుల్లోనే కంట్రోల్ ఉంటుంది ఆ కీ నువ్వు ప్రైవేట్ గానే పెట్టి బట్ జస్ట్ ఇమాజిన్ యూ హావ్ 5 friends. Now 5 friends are using the same room. Now your key is a published level. The 5 share with the 5 people. Even sometimes we share that with public people. Who are our neighbors. Mama and Maki are waiting. There is no privacy at all. Key is exposed. So when you are trying to share the information, never use the symmetric cryptography because you are sharing key. That key is exposed. Now the entire cryptographic system is failed. నువ్వే అన్లాక్ చేయాలని వాడు పెట్టి పెట్టేసుకుంటున్నా ఎవడైనా అన్లాక్ చేసుకోలేదు. See, now I want to transfer the sensitive information to the my friend. If I use a symmetric cryptography, what happens? I'm trying to encrypt the data, sending that encrypted message to the my friend. My friend will ask me again, bro, like, what is the key for the key? I need to share the key again with him. Message encrypted message వెళ్తుంది, key కూడా వెళ్తుంది, మ్యాన్యువల్ అటాక్ చేసేటప్పుడు తెలియదా? who are doing a man-in-the-middle attack, who are wanting my network traffic, that guy can capture the encrypted message, that guy can capture my key also, right? Easily can decrypt. So, symmetric key cryptography we never recommend for the data transfer. We always recommend this one for the data storage. Because now I am the user, I have a mobile phone. So now my mobile phone, I have a data. Now I can encrypt the data, decrypt the data whenever I need. It's under my control. Protected information, am I right? But if I want to share the data, I need to share the key also. So the single key approach, the single key, secret key approach is not fit in a data transfer. So we don't use this one for the data transfer. So we use only for the data storage. Now we have a bank everywhere. Wherever we have a confidential information, we want to keep it private, more confidential forever. For that purpose, we have to encrypt the data. But who are encrypting the same guy need to that is the best. So that's why our computers, our devices prefer to use the encryption and decryption process for the data storage purpose also. Okay, by using this algorithm, this approach. Now, which algorithm is most powerful? See, they introduce a lot of algorithms part of this symmetric cryptography. So they introduce like a data encryption standard, DS, data encryption standard, and they successfully cracked that. They told them like a safety we can find master. Immediately they did additional research. They tried to find the right algorithm. Three times stronger than this they introduced triple DS. Data encryption standard three times stronger. Triple DS. Okay, so okay. Previously it took a 1 month, now it's a 3 months. Task is same. Extra time is required for it. So they have a classification. One working on CDS, they finally introduced one algorithm that changed the advanced encryption standard. After introducing advanced encryption standard, no one cracked that till now today. Even like us to AES algorithm, cracking, no one tried access to make this. They are using AES, banks are using AES, corporate companies are using AES. AES is everywhere now for the data storage, secure data storage. So AES algorithm we are using. Not much. So advanced encryption strategy. It's a military grade algorithm. No one cracked. I said everything follow me. Under my command. So AES is a strongest algorithm. So AES is used by every software which is trying to protect you. Now if you check your mobile phone device level encryption you have. All Android phones, iPhones, computer, device level encryption. What it will do? It will encrypt your entire device level data by using AES. All Windows users, Linux users, Mac users are coming with the inbuilt device level encryption. Now, if you are a Windows user, you can search for the BitLocker. When you go to your system, the bottom of the search BitLocker. If you get the BitLocker encryption, if you are a home user, sorry, you may not find that feature, but you can find the device encryption feature. If you get the device encryption app, you know that for Windows user by default device encryption feature that is using like EVPN algorithm AES. So BitLocker uses like the so AES. Guys, so what BitLocker uses? So BitLocker encryption algorithm is AES. Advanced encryption strategy. So the corporate companies use default device encryption to protect sensitive data. Every corporate laptop is enabled AES. This device, BitLocker is a why they have the BitLocker? Because employee whenever he enter the password, that time his data is hidden. Whenever employee log out from the computer, data is hidden. In case if employee lost the laptop, lost something. So in that case, if someone got access to the they can't able to log into the machine because data is encrypted without knowing the password. That password is written as a key. Now, so even we can bypass the login screen, but BitLocker events you enable, you can't able to access the like a hard disk data. You can't able to bypass the login screen. You don't have a choice. Only one choice you have. You have to format that hard disk and install the OS and use it. Now, when you are like a format that you don't have access to the data in the device, right? So corporate companies they can protect their business data without exposing to anyone with the help of this. So all corporate company laptops are by default enabled BitLocker encryption. Even you can enable that, but you have to okay. Once you forgot the password, everything is gone. Because I did that mistake in my career. I did that mistake. I don't know it also. Okay, later I learn how to recover the data. That's the second thing. You learn that. Okay, but you don't get it. It is already an encrypted form. Even if you try to reply also data in an encrypted form without knowing the key, you can't able to decrypt again. Useless. So it is like anti-forensic technique. Cyber criminals try to protect their information in an encrypted format. No one can be able to access their data. Really like so, we have a, like one big website. It is a, like a portal similar to that Amazon e-commerce portal. Everything is available in Amazon. Just like that, everything is available in that. Okay, in that website is a, like a Silk Road, most popular. Okay, so dark e-commerce platform where people can buy price and everything. That so that FBI, so they are trying to like a find who is behind that website maintenance. They finally captured. Okay. So he is using MacBook Pro. Enable device level encryption. They failed to access it. They failed. Really tough for them. So due to that, okay, what happened? They didn't find the more evidences against him. They didn't like up to him in too many years. Only whatever evidences they have based upon the few years is the few years it is like in a jail. But today they collect more evidence. So thing is that. So encryption work like anti-policy. Cyber criminals use encryption. Encrypted data. Okay, so this is about the data storage. If you want to create your own encrypted, I don't want to encrypt the entire my hard disk, but I want to create the temporary, temporary encrypted file target. I can do that with the help of this tool name is called Verak. So all of you go to Google and search for the resource. So Verak to that. So download the like a so exe file. Windows exe. Download and install that on your system. So with the help of the software, okay, we don't need to enable the BitLocker in the entire system. We can create the encrypted file collector. Only specific files only can keep in that. Every house, most of the people, so they have a laughter to keep the important things. Just like that, you are creating a locker for the things. This is an encrypted container. So if you use the ASL algorithm, you use the ASL algorithm, it will create a file container for you. You can specify how much size file container you want to create. So you can do that with help of the. So we have a Vera crypt, True crypt, so kind of open source project. I said we do follow. So we have to download this and we have to experiment with this. So anyway, anyone Windows user, anyone person, please share your screen. I'll give the walk on this. Guys, anyone person, please share your screen. So who join in the meeting, please share your screen. I'll share. That's minimize your show me the level of your downloads. Right, another and accept the license terms and next start. So just like follow the default settings. You need to change. So there are so if you open the tutorial, you can say yes. If you open the default tutorial, you also. So just click on yes. You don't need to start out your Verak in order. Just you can say, can you minimize this browser? Just click on no. Now go to your desktop, you can see the Verak. If your installation is done, you can find the Verak. Open the tab. So did you get the pop-up? If you get the pop-up, say yes. Can you click on that? Like the next you will Google Chrome icon. You have like say yes. To show you the Chrome, say yes. You will get the like administrative privileges. You will get the so there are countries already running, but it should be like we open the Gmail. Can you close and like open and like any other steps? We have a we have it into the security. Who already installed the application? So like, we have a single key, so only this is useful for the data storage. What about data transfer? Then this is not suitable for the data transfer because encrypted message we have to share and even decryption we also have to share. So due to that, so they introduce like asymmetric encryption. Asymmetric encryption. So we can call it one as a public encryption. So this is asymmetric encryption. So previously we used a single key, secret key cryptography. Symmetric single key. Now asymmetric two keys. This public key cryptography uses two keys. One is public, another one is so it uses the public and private. So in a symmetric cryptography, we have a single key, but this is asymmetric cryptography. So we are calling this one as a public key cryptography. Okay. So we have a two keys. One is a public key, another one is private. So you use one key for encryption, another key for decryption. So you use public key for the encryption, private key for decryption. Now, who's public key and who's private key? That is a question. We have a like two users. Now we have a like a sender. Receiver. So sender is trying to send the message to the receiver. So we have a like a sender and receiver communication. Client side. Now client is sending to the server. Server is going to return the response. Now in this case, sender is going to use the receiver's public key for encryption. So what is encryption? In this case, like encryption, what is happening? For example, here you got like a new lock system. One key for lock, one key for unlock. My friend know untunnavaru. We have a lock key where you can lock, but your friend can unlock with another. మీ దగ్గర ఒక key ఉంటే but see the logic. You only can lock. Your friend only can reverse that. Keys are required. Different keys are required. So this is the process. Like encryption, decryption. We have like a pair of keys for the sender, pair of keys for the receiver. ఇక్కడ sender దగ్గర రెండు keys ఉంటాయి. Sender has a public key and private key. So we have like a public key and private key. We have like so receiver also has a public key and private. So part of the public key cryptography. So whenever you want to do the encryption, you are going to use receivers public key for encryption. Part of encryption whose keys you are using receiver. For example, Suresh and Ramesh they are exchanging a data. Suresh want to send the data to the Ramesh. Ramesh public key used by the Suresh for the encryption. ఇక్కడ సురేష్ సంబంధించినటువంటి ఐడెంటిటీ Now sender is trying to take the receiver's public key for encryption. Now for the decryption what happens? So you simply say encrypted data you send that you encrypted data you send to it. Okay. Now This receiver, after receiving that data, encrypted data, is going to be used. So use receiver's private key for the receiver's private key for the ఇక్కడ ఏమన్నా సెంటర్ సంబంధించిన కీస్ ఏమన్నా ప్లే చేసే No. Now sender, I'm the sender. I'm sending from my browser to my server. My browser is going to be use the server's public key for encryption. For example, I'm visiting facebook.com. Facebook.com using HTTPS protocol. Transport layer security is integrated. What is the transport layer security? Primarily role end-to-end. It means encryption, encrypted communication between source and destination. So it is going to be used the public key cryptography, not like a secret. HTTPS protocol use the TLS, transport layer security. The TLS use the public key cryptography. So our browser is going to be use the public key of the server. Now, for example, now I want to visit the facebook.com. My browser has to visit the facebook.com. So whenever I visit the facebook.com, my request is going to the facebook.com. You can see that my browser is first of all identified the connection is secure. Connection is secure. And it has certificate value. Now you can see the public key. So whose public key it is? That web server's public key. Web server is sharing the public key with my browser. My browser use this public key for the setting a data in an encrypted format. Server has their own private key. That private key is a forever secret. అర్థమైంది ఇక్కడ ఓన్లీ ఎన్క్రిప్షన్ చేసే కీస్ మాత్రమే ఎక్స్పోజ్ అవుతాయి ఓన్లీ ఎన్క్రిప్షన్ కీస్ ఓన్లీ ఎక్స్పోజ్ ఆల్ డిక్షన్ కీస్ ఆర్ ప్రైవేట్ now my browser is sending a data to the Facebook server by using that public key so by using a specific algorithm what is the algorithm I can find the algorithm also mentioned in this detail section. So you can see the certificate signature algorithm. So you have like a version, serial number, certificate signature algorithm, RSA encryption diagnosis. Guys, are able to follow me? So they are using like a see the like a subject. This is the public key algorithm. Encrypted kind of public key algorithm. This is the public key algorithm. So my browser use the same algorithm. My browser use the same public key shared by them. Now this is the public key shared by them. Algorithm key. So my browser use that algorithm and key for sending my web browser request in an encrypted format. Now server receiving encrypted format. Server side what happens? They will decrypt my key. They already have a private key among it. Server side private key we have among it. So server public key we are using for encryption. Server use their own private key for the decryption. Now they will understand that. Now server need to return the reply to me. Server need to return the response back to me to the my browser. That time server also need to send in encrypted format or not. Now server use my clients public key. Who is my client browser? My web browser's public key with the algorithm. It will use and encrypt and send that encrypted message back to the my browser. My browser's own private key for the decryption and displaying the data as a plain text. మీకు అక్కడ ఫేస్బుక్ ప్లేన్ టెక్స్ట్ కనపడుతుంది బ్రౌజర్ అది కమ్యూనికేషన్ ఎన్క్రిప్ట్ మన బ్రౌజర్ లో మాత్రమే డిక్రిప్ట్ అవుతుంది సర్వర్ లో మాత్రమే డిక్రిప్ట్ అవుతుంది రిమైనింగ్ ఇన్ everywhere it is in an encrypted format. So if anyone intercept that traffic also, what happens? It is in a encrypted format, not in a plain text. అర్థమైంది So public key cryptography used everywhere. So wherever we are transferring the data, Now you are using like a HTTP plain text, but HTTP over TLS, HTTPS. SSH encrypted. It is using like a communication, end-to-end encryption communication. So client server public cryptography approach there is an SSH. But telnet plain text, FTP plain text, SFTP again encrypted. So whatever protocols we use in our daily life, they have one additional layer. That additional layer is using public key cryptography. So this public key cryptography, if you want to use the public key cryptography, you need to submit the one certificate instance CA, certificate authority certificate is required. That certificate is issued for the temporary time, not for the permanent. That public key is going to be changed. That public and private key page is going to be changed based upon that key distribution. So this key management process we have by the companies. Now this Facebook is going to be expire this key when serial letters will there. Okay. Now so this is the issue on like a January 8th they issued the certificate. January 8th like so they created like a one private key and public key for the communication. When is it is going to expire? So 9th April. This month April. So they are, it is going to expire. 3 months process they are using. Every 3 months, the certificate is going to expire. They will regenerate the pair of keys, public key and private key, for this communication and updating their server configuration. So all our HTTPS websites, they install the CA certificate. That CA certificate has like a validity details. Which algorithm we should use, what is the public key we have to use, everything is so. So even like an happyfire.com or very nice websites also. Every 3 months I try to update their algorithms. Every 3 months I just add the headmaster and release the websites. So I try to like regenerate the certificates every 3 months. Update. So why 3 months like that? So if you take like if you give like 1 year period, now what happened? Maybe someone can try hard on the decryption process. That so we don't want to give that kind of chance to them. In a 3 months, he can't able to figure because whenever like this public key cryptography introduced, the one algorithm they introduced, which is the strongest. That algorithm name is called RSA. 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 So that is like introduced by 3 scientists. So 3 scientists work on that algorithm implementation. So their last name is like a reverse Sam Edelman. So they use their last name first capital RSA, reverse Sam Edelman. So those guys like so they use the RSA. After introducing RSA algorithm, they propose if anyone cracks their algorithm, they are ready to give $1 million. I think they announced that after introducing that algorithm. Now few people they started working on it, cracking it. One like a group of people, big group of people worked on that. So successfully they cracked after 8 months. You know how many systems they use for that cracking purpose? 1600 plus supercomputers. 1600 plus supercomputers mainframes involved in that attack. Continuously 8 months. 1600 plus supercomputers continuously 8 months they tried to crack the single line. Now tell me, do you have supercomputer at your house to crack the hacking trainer or Facebook.com related algorithm? Even like I said today, quantum computers are also not able to crack that much fun. AES, RSA is most strong algorithms. So that's why. So due to the security reasons, now too much of participation. 1600 supercomputers, they took 8 months. Now let's assume that like maybe double to that, maybe 4 months after. So that's why we are even if you have like a capacity to arrange more than like a 3000, 4000 supercomputers to track my website algorithm, it will take a 4 to 5 months to you, but before that my certificate will take. Now you don't have a choice. Right? So that is a logic we use. Most of the companies they prefer to generate their certificate every 3 months. Few guys 6 months, few guys 1. Like, is it a clear? So when we can like encrypt the data in a browser side, server can decrypt that. Server can encrypt the data in a server side that can be decrypted by our browser. So we have a completely like a publicly cryptographic algorithm using our HTTPS protocol, our SMTP protocol. So now SMTP is an insecure. SMTP yes is secure. POP3 is insecure. POP3 yes is secure. All our algorithm, whatever algorithm we use for the web communication, database communication, that time. So web services, database services, email services, file sharing services, remote access services, every service related protocol, we are recommend to use the publicly cryptographic mechanism to make client server communication in a secure channel. But if we are not enabling that, what happens? It's a weak communication channel. It is a vulnerable to the man. That my point. So the cryptography is trying to like help us to keep our data safe when you are transferring the data, when you store the data. So for the data at rest, okay, for data in transit, those two cases purpose we are using cryptography. So cryptography is trying to like we have symmetric cryptography, asymmetric cryptography. So symmetric we use for the data storage, asymmetric we use for the data transfer. In a symmetric AES algorithm is a great algorithm. Asymmetric RS algorithm is a great algorithm. We have other than RS algorithm. But it's up to you as able to follow me. So this is about like a so encryption process. I don't want like looking discuss too much into the like asymmetric because too many mathematical applications. Prime numbers are calculations. So you don't need that, you don't need to waste time on that. Just understand code. Clear everyone? So we I So all settings are default. You don't need to really change anything. So the tutorial page has everything. So you like that. So now if you look into the tutorial, what is the step one, how to create a user. So you have to like download and install. You have to use that. So this is like so here is window. This window you have option create file. So you have to click on that create file. So if you click on the create value, you will click the options. So click on it. So it will display like this. You have to click on next like a cycle show you like standard value. Just click on it. Next you have to provide a path where you want to save your encrypted file. Now you have to like a source select the file. So now I am creating like a source encrypted file and another now let's see my docs. So I just giving like one file. So this is like a file. The path is selected. After selecting the file, so you save something. And after I select the path, see how we click on. Now it will show you the algorithm, which algorithm you got. So we have algorithms like the AES algorithm. So the AES algorithm, you know that. Now it's a hashing algorithm. We'll explain that what is hash algorithm. We'll discuss about hash functions and steganography. Now, so now how much storage you want? How much file container? See, when you buy, like, when you want a lot of space in a band, you want in your house, okay, you will decide that what you are going to be keeping that how much size and space you require. Just like that, you are going to decide. Now I want to create a file. 5 GB file storage, 10 GB file storage, 20 GB file storage. Decide that. Okay, then you can keep all your files in there. So now I'm trying to like decide that like I'm finding like a 6 GB of data. If you use a 6 GB, no 6 GB storage is good, that by default allocate. Do you have a data or not? Doesn't matter. The container size is 6 GB. It will take the space. Okay. Now, so when you are trying to use this one, it is going to ask for what is that password? Password is a key. So remember this password recommended complexity password. So use the like uppercase, lowercase, special characters, all those combinations. Okay. Now click on saying yes, recommended could be size, unique characters. Okay, now it is a question. Very important. Large files. We want to store the large files or small files in the that 6 GB storage. We have a problem. When you want to store only small size files, like it means your file size is 1 GB, 2 GB, less than 4 GB, it will choose the one file system. Our computers, for storing the data, they follow the file system. We have like a file allocation here. File allocation, fat kind of names here. And NTFS, new technology file system, introduced for the Windows operating system. So NTFS. So we have a file system types. Is it a FAT or NTFS or extended FAT? Extended like a file allocation here. So why you need to choose the right file system? For example, I have 6 GB storage or 100 GB storage, and then but if I use a FAT, what happens? I can't able to store the any file more than 4 GB size. Means I have a 10 GB file. I can't able to keep that 10 GB file in that locker because that locker has a default file system type is a FAT, which will support the maximum size. File size is a 4 GB, but total size is 100 GB. Your single file should not exceed the 4 GB. That may be. So when like our data storage concept is introduced into the market, that time we have a FAT everywhere. Later, like so, they realize that only keeping the 4 GB size file is not enough. Sometimes we download the bigger size files, we need to keep the bigger size data in a single file format. So then they decided to use a new set of file systems and they will extract and replicate. Microsoft they introduced a new technology file system. Even if you have a 4 GB size file also, you can store. There is no problem. Single file with a TBs, not a GBs. TB size also acceptable to store in the file system. Otherwise, so if I say yes, it will choose the NTFS. If I say no, it will choose the file. Otherwise, so do you want to store the large files? Yes, sir. You can. Do you have a intention to store the files larger than 4 GB? This Vera yes. Now what is the latest store? Format type extended. Extended chart is selected. But if I say no, it is selected file. So your intention is they will change the files. Even you can change manually yourself. You have NTFS, FAT. NTFS only work in a Windows machines. But if you use extract, you can mount this file system in any way, either Windows or Linux or Mac. Wherever you want to open your encrypted file container, you can open it. So I click on view. Now click on file. So your drive is ready. Encrypted file container drive is ready. So up to store like 6 GB storage. So now it is going to format. So you have a tutorial. So the tutorial is going to be recommended. So just keep the password, select the right format, and format. Now volume. Next time, whenever you want to open that volume, you have to select which drive path you want to mount. You have like a A to Z the drives are right. C drive, B drive, E drive. So you can mount your file on it. So you have to select the file. You have to select your file and open that file and your mount. And you last one the password. Once you enter the password, you mount. You can see that right here. This is section. So you can just like a mount and you can unmount it. So now successfully created. You can see the file in the Microsoft. So this file properties you can see 6 GB. Now this is the worker. Now if you want to open the container and keep some files, you can select any drive. Now I'm selecting the G drive. Selecting the file. Container. Now asking for it. You are decrypting now. So once you click enter the password to decrypt that container and open that container for your access. Read and write. Now since by this, you can double click on this directly it will open and it will go to your this PC you can see that. C is a temporary loading. Okay. Now you can keep all your whatever files you want to keep there. Just copy your files. You can store in your encrypted file. Now I want to keep some files in this file. Now I copy it. Now if I just like say that like unknown all everything is now you can't see the file. There is a file inside. Inside of this we have a file. Your file is in encrypted mode. No one can open this file. Only you can open this file with that part. This one. Okay, now let me select mount again. So I'm trying to like choose the path, alpha, maybe enter the path. So in any system I can mount this. Just I need a software install. Other method. So you need to just learn with software. I can just like a mount this. You see that now I selected a J path is now file. Now we want to delete the additional files in path. But all are encrypted. So we want to paste something in your locker and lock it. You want to remove the things from the locker and lock it. It's up to you. So you have a now encrypted file container which will protect your files. So this is like an open source software. There are open source file containers. Okay. So you can do the experiment. You can go through the more data notes on this, understand this. Okay. So this is like a challenge. Creating a practical exam, practical exam required. So you the one accurate value. The key they will ask you. So there is a value system. Find that value, unlock that value with the key, and find the secret files in that value, protected files, and get that key and send it. So CDF kind of challenges we have for the CH practical exam. We have a theory exam, practical exam. In the practical exam, theory CDF challenge. Clear everyone? So this is about like a solution and details. Yeah. So you can find more details. So if you want to know more about it, even already I shared the notes. I given an introduction to the cryptography notes. Read that notes you get the notes. Clear everyone? So you have extra can plan for the usage of exploring cryptography. Clear everyone? So now tomorrow class we'll discuss about for hash functions and integrity management process and like the cryptography process. We'll discuss. Thank you.